Welcome to the Everyday Bow Hunter. I'm your host, Mike Manley, retired Green Beret turned bow hunter, joined by my brother Dan Zeamer, who's mastered the art of hunting from the ground. We're here to share tips, stories, and talk gear, all from our unique points of view. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned bow hunter, I think you're going to like it. So let's go. Hey, and welcome to the pod. This is Mike. This is episode 1. This is the beginning of a new podcast, the Everyday Bow Hunter. I hope you like it. We're gonna see how this thing turns out. Of course, I'm here with my brother Dan, as the intro stated, and we are just like you, everyday bow hunters, and that's what this podcast is about. We're going to talk about everything bow hunting that we can. It's going to be a little different. I think you're going to see this is a little bit different than other podcasts. We have a different perspective than a lot of other people. I'm a former Green Beret. I bring my military perspective to this. Dan's a ground hunter, and he takes things from a very different perspective. We've been hunting together this season's going to be 14 years, Dan.
Wow. Can't believe it's that long already.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it feels good to have you home this long.
See, I was thinking about it earlier today, and I said, wow, that's 14 years that we've been hunting. And you guys obviously don't know Dan, my dad, our dad, and a assorted bunch of friends and family. We all hunt archery together, and we hunt mostly in the mountains of central Pennsylvania. And we have a blast doing it, and we don't take ourselves too seriously. We have a lot of fun. We screw up all the time, but we're here to learn and take some of the lessons we learned and maybe help you out a little bit. So
that's just the half of it right there. Is you got to screw up. I mean, you're only going to learn lessons. It's only going to make you a better hunter to screw up moving forward.
So. For those of you who don't know us, also, I'm the owner of archeryhunting.com and the Everyday Bow Hunter. Everyday Bow Hunter on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, whatever platform I can get on, that's what we're on. So this podcast is an extension of all those different channels and the website. So probably hear us talk a lot about it through the time on the podcast, but that's where we're coming from and what we have to offer, and hopefully it'll be worthwhile.
Hey, Mike, I know you have a little bit of an intro on your website as to who you are. I mean, I think we should probably dive into that a little bit more. I got some questions I'd like to ask you, and go from there if that's okay.
Let's do it.
All right, so how old were you when you enlisted into the Army?
I was 20.
Okay, so you were out of high school a couple years, and then you enlisted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
When did you know you wanted to enlist, and what made you choose the Army over all the other branches in the military?
Rambo.
Seriously? You watched Rambo and it made you want to...
Hey, my buddy Sean and I would go out in the backyard and freaking whip each other in the back just like First Blood, the first one. And I said, yeah, I want to be a Green Beret. I was serious. I thought that was the heat. I was like, that's what I want to do. I was an idiot.
Oh.
No, but the thing that drove me to join was I'd come out of high school. I didn't have really a pot to piss in, and I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. And I think, I was like, maybe I can go in and get a few years, get some college money. So I did what I called the 2-year meal deal. Back then you could join for 2 years and get $17,000 for college. And so,
wow.
Yeah. And of course I stayed in for 21, but
I was going to say 2 years turn into the long haul. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because I ended up loving it. and so I stayed. But yeah, I was also I was not happy with our home life wasn't necessarily the best back then. But so I was like
Yeah.
I want to get out and do something different, and ended up being a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're 8 years apart. I was very young. I mean, 7, 8 years old. I guess I truly didn't understand what you were doing. I mean, I remember vividly the night you left, dropping you off at the Howard Johnson and saying goodbye because I looked up to you so much at that age. You were like my idol. I followed you around everywhere you went, and that was pretty rough. But now looking back, I mean, you're my hero. So, I mean, I'm so damn proud of you, man. Like it's amazing what you've accomplished. But on that note, so while you're enlisted, what made you decide to join the rate, go airborne, and then move on to Rangers?
I just had a thing where I wanted to do all the hardest stuff. I wanted to show everybody that I could achieve and be the best of the best. And I said, I'm going to go and do it. I went to Ranger School first, way back in 1992. Uh, Went to Air Assault School, went to Airborne School, and it was just like I wanted to do more. It was kind of push myself as hard as I could, and that was kind of the route I was taking.
So being a Ranger at that point, is that what made you go for Special Forces? Like that, you saw it and you were like, there's another level to this. I'm going for it.
Well, actually, at the time, uh, I was running a platoon, infantry platoon, and I was not running the platoon. I was like a squad leader or whatever. But I felt like I was babysitting all the time. Uh, in the weekends, guys were just that didn't like the military were constantly screwing up, getting drunk, getting in fights in the barracks. I was constantly picking up the pieces, and I said I wanted to be around other guys that wanted to be in the army too, that wanted to do the hard stuff and wanted to excel at it instead of with half the people I was. Now I was with some great guys. Don't get me wrong. I had some awesome dudes that I was with in the infantry, and I was in the third of the 325 in Vicenza, Italy, and I was like, you know, this is great, but I want more. I want more, and I had to I had to beg my wife to like please let me go for special forces.
Yeah, I'm sure that didn't go over so well.
Well, the best thing that ever happened to me was she was working at the coffee shop, Baskin Robbins slash Cappuccino bar on base, and a bunch of 10th Special Forces Group guys walk in, and she's like, "Hey, my husband keeps asking me to go Special Forces. Do you guys are you guys gone a lot?" They were like, "No, we're home all the time." They totally lied to her. So I'm like, "These guys are awesome," and it was like 6 months later, I was in selection course. So
Okay,
that's how she started.
so once you join the army, now I guess I kind of got ahead of myself with Ranger Special Forces. So when the Persian Gulf War started, you were still a private, correct? PFC.
Yeah, when I went over, I was a PFC.
Okay, so
Desert Storm. Yeah.
okay, so starting with the Persian Gulf War, how many different conflicts did you deploy to, and elaborate what your missions were on each deployment?
That's a long one.
I know it's a lot, yeah. Or
Desert Storm.
maybe I was going to say maybe what were you like Desert Storm or Persian Gulf,
Okay.
Desert Storm? You were PFC, and then move
Yeah,
forward from there.
okay. Desert Storm. I was a PFC, and I got specialist E4 when I was over right before I came back. I think I got promoted to E4. I was there in 91, and then I did the whole special forces thing in 95. Went to qualification course and stuff. 96, and I'm thinking. And then I think it was I went to fifth group 5th Special Forces Group. I was in Alpha Company A15, for those who know what that is, the SIF company. And we ended up going to Jordan, which wasn't, it was just what they call a JSET. We'd go over and train Jordanian Special Forces and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool. Then I came back, and then I went to Sephardic, which is the Special Forces kind of counterterrorism school. And then I went to, in 2001, I went to Christmas, right after Christmas of 2000 into 2001, I went to Kosovo. And was from Kosovo basically from that December, day after Christmas, until like, I don't know, was it April, May, something like that. It wasn't a long trip. So I was in Kosovo there. We did some combat ops, but kind of, sort of, we did, we raided some houses and stuff, but when it compares to the stuff it did in Iraq and Afghanistan, it's not even comparable. Back then I thought it was cool and it was something special, but I didn't want anything big. But I went to Kosovo, came back, and of course the 9/11 happened. And I was in, 5th Special Forces Group, which was, our area of operations is the Middle East. So when Afghanistan went down, the first ones to get deployed over there was 5th Special Forces Group. I wasn't with the horse soldiers that were up north in northern part of Afghanistan. We got deployed to a little island called Masira Island off the coast of Oman, and launched into southern Afghanistan, well, into central Afghanistan, into Kandahar, and this, right after Thanksgiving, early December of 2001. So I was over Afghanistan then for that first go round with them. Did a bunch of great ops, some historic ops, joint ops with German KSK. Who else was over there? Canadian Special Forces, New Zealand. So we were all out doing ops together. It was really cool. So, and then turned around, that really started it all. I went and we deployed to Djibouti, Africa, part of Operation Enduring Freedom as well. And went down there and in Djibouti, and had some stuff going on in Yemen, and into Somalia as far as stuff goes there. And then, but not really a lot. It was mostly training for that trip. We did a lot of training, not a lot of ops. I remember being off. We were in a helicopter on the coast, flying over the Gulf of Aden there, going into Yemen. We were going to hit a target in the mountains of Yemen, and all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, I'm going back." They're like, "Why?" They're like, "They just killed a dude with a Hellfire missile off of a Predator drone." And I was like, "What?" And that was the first time that had happened. That was the first one.
The drone thing.
Yeah, and so that was a big thing, because we were like, "Wow, they used a drone to kill somebody? That's freaking!"
Yeah.
I didn't know we could do that. So it was like, wow. We had done, I guess, some of that in Afghanistan, but that was taken over for us doing an op. That was something. But then I was there for that, then came back 5 months later, leaving for the invasion of Iraq. We go over for the invasion. That was 5-6 months. And they rotate us out pretty quick, because when you're doing a lot of operations, Special Forces, they rotate you out quick, so you're not getting too burned out. Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 doing all their terrorism ops over there, they would do 90-day rotations, because they're going so hard, those guys need a break.
Yeah.
So we would do like 5-6 months, depending. I think my longest trip was like a little over 8 months. And I ended up doing, after that, with the invasion of Iraq, let me think this through, invasion of Iraq, then back, a trip after that into Baghdad, another trip into Baghdad, trip up in northwest in Rabia, and then the last trip into Balad. So that was 5 there. So the other one's 6, 7, 8. Desert Storm 9, if you want to count them all, nine different tours.
Wow. So I'm I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. Like for me, I was at home. I was your brother. I knew you were always going doing this stuff, but for me it was a blur. You know what I mean? Because I was again young and going through school and stuff like that, and it's hard for me to wrap my head around 9 deployments. That's your wife's a saint. That's
She
not what she
is.
signed up for. You know
She
what I mean?
is.
And them guys came into that place and told her that they're always home, and then she signed up for 9 deployments. Wow.
Yeah, but I was very
Oh,
lucky because I mean we stayed at Fort Campbell for 14 straight years, and if somebody's in the Army and they're listening to this and you're saying, yeah, right, you didn't stay in one place for 14 years, or even if you're an SF and you're like, Special Forces does not let you stay in the same place for 14 years. Well, guess what? I stayed in the same place for 14 years. I had people that pulled strings for me, senior leaders and sergeant majors that got me out of stuff. I did a lot of begging, and so when the time came that I'd done all that time, and my kids were getting ready to start high school. My oldest boy's getting ready to start high school. I said, that's time to punch out, man. It's time to
yeah.
move on to bigger and better things. And it was tough for me because I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave the Army. I loved Special Forces. It was in my blood. It was everything. It was who I was. So being a Green Beret is an identity thing.
Yeah. So I guess on that, what was your greatest accomplishment while enlisted?
I think my greatest accomplishment was not really personal in nature as much as it was the friendships that I made there and I still have today. I have on my phone right now probably have 10 texts from today. I was a team sergeant of ODA 535 for 3 straight tours together. Mostly kept the same group of guys, and even the guys that were there for one tour or whatever, are in this chat, you know, and we spend different time together. I just went out to a wedding in San Diego back in last October. I just was at the graduation of one of the guys who passed away overseas, was killed overseas. His daughter's graduation from college. We met up with a bunch of the guys there. So it's the relationships and the friends that I've made for life. I'd say, and the fact that we're all still tight. And that was my legacy because I ran that team. That was me,
Yeah.
and we're still friends today. And we don't have a I'm in charge relationship. We have a we're a bunch of friends relationship, and
Yeah.
I think I value that more than anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to hear. That goes to show that it was worth something. So on that, so you said 21 years you were enlisted total. Uh, so what was your rank at your time of retirement?
I was a E9 Sergeant Major. I was not a Command Sergeant Major. In Special Forces, um, you start off as a regular Sergeant Major, and then if you're in charge of not in charge of, but if you're the Sergeant Major for a battalion, then you're a Command Sergeant Major. So my highest level of responsibility was at the company level. I was a company Sergeant Major, had six teams with me, and I was in Charlie Company, 4th Battalion, 5th Special Forces Group was my last assignment. I did my time there, my 3 years, and or was it 2 years? I can't remember anymore. I guess it was 2 years. I did 2 years as a company sergeant major there. Started it from scratch. It was a brand new company. They were starting new companies up because of they needed more people overseas because deployments were really demanding and stuff. And so I put my stamp on that as the very first guy for that company, and so I had a great bunch of guys there too. So it was really hard to leave. It was hard, but
I,
it
especially
was
with what you said about the bonds that you made. That's probably the hardest reason for leaving.
now it was accomplishment for me because I did make sergeant major really fast. When I came out in the sergeant major list, I was 36 years old, young guy.
Wow.
I had made every rank in the secondary zone, which if that's the earliest you can make it for E7, 8, and 9. So I was very fortunate. It's great timing. I think if I'd have missed 1 year, I'd have been might never even made sergeant major in the time that 20 years. So I was
Yeah.
very fortunate, and the retirement's nice.
Yeah. So after you retired, you moved back to Pennsylvania. We had a family member, our grandfather, pass, and I remember you guys came home for that, and it was hard. And then you guys went back to Tennessee, and shortly after, mom and dad called, and they're like, Mike and Tanya, and they're moving home, and it was to me the greatest thing because I always loved our friendship and the bond that I had with you, being my big brother and not. But so you got a job. You kind of started your own business, right, in the beginning.
Yeah, I was hurt. I had a couple injuries, from my time in service. Uh, I was like, I had built websites and stuff as a hobby, and I said to Tanya, I said, hey, I think I can do my own business with this, and she was like, okay. So I gave it a go, and I did that for about 5 years. But
Yeah.
it was a hard transition. It was tough. It was tough transitioning out from the army to being, just a regular Joe. It was hard. I had
Yeah.
some.
What do you guys call that? What's the word I'm looking for? Civilian. Going from
Yeah,
that to civilian
oh
life,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So after that, you kind of changed gears, wanted to get out of the house and not be in your office all the time, stuck inside. So, what did you do?
Well, you know what I did. I went hunting.
Yeah. All right. So, th- okay. Well, hold on. Oh,
I mean,
darn it! I had a list of questions. You just threw a wrench in there. No. Okay. So,
now right after I got out, I rode motorcycle. We had our bikes.
yeah.
Did that, and but yeah, did that. We did run. Once I healed up a little bit and stuff, got over my surgeries and stuff.
Yeah.
We were doing a lot of half marathons and stuff, and doing different
Yeah.
5K races and stuff. So we were really into that. Had a good time, but well, I wanted to reconnect with you guys, and
Yeah.
and that's why even when I was in Tennessee, I was prepping for it. When I was back at Fort Campbell, getting ready to retire, I went out and bought myself a crappy. My God, I don't even know how I survived. I should be dead. I got a climbing tree stand off at eBay. And it was a Chinese knockoff, no name. Didn't have a name. I was like, oh, this is like $150. This has got to be okay. And I bought. You remember that bear bow I had?
Yeah.
That bear
Oh, that thing was
archery.
heavy.
I actually still have it. I mean, that thing is. Oh my God, that's horrible. I tried to pull the string
Oh,
back the
that's
other day. I think I'll break it if I do.
yeah,
That was
yeah, yeah.
horrible.
Don't. All
Arrows would
right.
go like this. They were so slow.
Very low speed. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what are you doing now for career wise? What are you doing now?
In 2015, my wife told me I needed to get out of the house because of being in the house. I had a partner that I worked with my business, and Daniel Vosser, his name was, and, and he really was the developer, and I was the marketer side. I do the content. I developed the website, but he was we developed software, and he was kind of the software developer for me. And he ended up being in a car accident. He lived in Switzerland. We were like doing the co-working thing overseas that people take for granted now. Back then it was kind of in its infancy, and he was in a car accident in Switzerland and broke his back. And he said, Mike, I can't. It's gonna be a year or more. Who knows? I got to recover from this, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to punch out. And I said, well, let's sell the business. And so we sold it, and I turned around and I said, maybe I can look at a second retirement. So I got a job at the state, uh, in that chemical safety program, hazmat response, uh, as being in charge of the certification program for hazmat response teams in the state of Pennsylvania.
Do you think your military career helped you with that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I was Special Forces. I was an explosives guy, and I did the hazmat stuff for us to ship stuff overseas and everything, and the chemical warfare stuff, which is totally different from civilian hazmat. It's not even close, but it gave me a foot in the door. So it helped me talk my way in.
Yeah.
Had a good interview.
All right. Well, switching gears here a little bit. The reason we're here. So
Archery, bow hunting.
yeah, bow hunting. So you had done a little bit when you were way younger, like it was a family tradition, rifle hunting. So what intrigued you most about archery hunting in the beginning?
Well, honestly, in the beginning, I just wanted to reconnect with you guys. I didn't know that I'd end up loving it, and it'd be something that I just wanted to eat, sleep, and breathe. So it was just that and getting out, and I found that it became kind of therapeutic for me to suffering from a little PTSD there, and then transition stress or whatever you want to call it from getting out and two different environments. And so archery was a great way to get out and enjoy time with you guys, connect, and also decompress.
Yeah. So during that, during those years, what was your holy cow moment that let me see how I have this worded here. All right. So what was your holy cow moment that made it archery a passion and not just like a hobby? What was like that? Oh my God, this is what I want to do. This is wow. We all have that moment in archery.
I think it was when I shot my first massive 5-point buck.
Massive 5-point buck.
When we're out there tracking him down, and we're like, I think that fifth point is an inch. I think we got him. He's legal. Yeah.
Oh, that was me 2 years ago. Oh. It happens, they can't all be giant buck.
I don't think it happened instantaneously. I just, over time, it just, every year I looked forward to it more and more, and it was,
yeah.
And as you learn stuff, in the beginning, it was so freaking dumb. Oh my God. I was complete and utter idiot. I'd go out there, and I think everybody has that, you go out it is the first hunt of the season, and you go to climb a tree, and you get up there.
Oh, you're all
like,
thumbs. Yeah.
Man, what the hell? I forgot this. I don't have that.
You forget your pull up rope. You forget your release. You get, it's
something. You drop
it's
something,
always something.
Whatever. I think we talk about Mark. Remember Mark was saying that first day, was that last year? It had to be like 2 years ago. And he said, I got down there, I was getting in the tree, I dropped my bow, I dropped my release. He did everything that you could possibly do, and it's that first day thing. If you don't practice and get yourself prepared, you're gonna be all jacked up. And when I first started out, and I was going out in the woods, and I think I'd adequately scouted out that first spot I started hunting. Got initial scouting, and I think my military experience helped a little bit with that. And I think early on I didn't use my military experience enough. I was just happy to be with you guys, and it was like I found some deer crap and some there's a rub. Oh, I'm in a spot. I got to hunt this spot. I mean, that was it. That was found a new spot, and that was so. It's just so that over time, when you have those moments where you say to yourself, man, I've been doing this all wrong, and I need to do this now. And I think I've done that every year for like the last 5 years. I think I've said it over and over again to myself, man, I'm screwing this up. I need to do this instead. And I think that's evolved my approach the hunting,
Yeah.
constantly evolving, and I don't think it's going to stop evolving. I think it's going to continue, because I'm really addicted to the habitat stuff now, the trying to, really understand what they're doing all year long. Uh, and I think that's, that obsession's is gonna, it's gonna hurt me and help me because I'm gonna put myself in bad positions. I'm gonna blow areas out that I shouldn't, and but I'm gonna
Just learn.
somewhere along the line I'm gonna be lucky, and some days I'm not. And the last couple of
Yeah.
years we've had some really lucky days, and I think we're getting luckier and luckier here.
Well,
Because
I mean,
it is luck, because that deer has to be in that spot even though you think he's
yeah, but
going
you also
to.
have to do your homework, and scouting's a lot of that. I mean, you're putting yourself in them positions. But I mean, like for me, I was always really into it, but everything changed for me the day that I had my epiphany. We'll call it. We were sitting way out the top of the mountain, and I forget what was wrong. My back hurt or my shoulder was messed up, and Dad had a crossbow, and he was like, "Just take this hunting. We'll set up a blind. And you can hunt out of that." And I'm sitting on the ground that night, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, I don't want to climb trees anymore. I'm deathly afraid of heights. I spend 80% of the time up in the tree, just with so much anxiety. Am I going to fall? Am I, like, any little misstep? And then if a deer did come, I was sitting there shaking, trying to stand up and, to lean out over to take the shot. It was a nightmare for me. And then I'd get down early, like, just because I didn't want to do it in the dark because of my fear of heights. And then, like, in the morning, and you know this about me, it's you guys would be getting up to go hunting, and I would play it off like I was hungover or something. Really, I was just in there too ashamed to actually admit. I mean, I was hungover a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but no. But I mean, the truth was, I was too ashamed, too ego, to admit that I was deathly afraid of heights, and I wanted to wait until the sun came up to go out and climb a tree. Once I honed in my ground hunting skills, my whole world changed, and I've had so much success because of that. I've been killing
That's
at a
crazy.
pretty good rate here since I started getting on the ground,
Oh
and
yeah,
it just altered everything. I had to change
yeah,
entirely my whole way of hunting, and I love
yeah.
it because it was a great new challenge. It was awesome.
I'm totally envious of it, because it's just something that I haven't been comfortable with. And we were just talking earlier that I got that little portable blind thing that you can put on the ground,
Yeah,
real quick
yeah,
around a tree or something, when you're sitting on the ground. And I was like,
yeah,
that I might not use it very often, but I want to. And you know how it is. You go out to different
yeah,
spots, and I don't care. I have a saddle and I can hunt almost any tree, but
yeah.
there's still spots that are just not conducive to being in a tree, and being on the ground is where it's at. That one spot that has that open field that was hunting in. There's no real good trees around there, and it's a total ground spot. I just haven't, well, I did have a blind in there, but that's a whole different story. But
Yeah,
uh,
I like the
it's something
blinds,
that
but
carrying a blind around
oh,
is
sorry,
not.
I cut you off.
No.
It's
I
cumbersome,
agree.
and
Yeah, who wants to carry a blind around?
it's so it's. I'll tell you what. Here's my thing. I like hunting out of a blind on days that I'm hungover. For
Or it's
one,
raining?
you're going to work your butt off to get yeah, or it's raining. You're going to work your butt off so to get it in and to set it up, and the chair's heavy, you know. So till you get in and get all that set up, you just sweated out any ounce of alcohol that was in you, you know. But no, here's my thing. In all honesty, when I stopped, true. I mean, I really don't even hunt out of a blind anymore. Once I got that tree seat and I put that curtain around me, my field of vision, the blind, you can only see certain, I guess that's true up in a tree with shooting lanes. There are similarities there, but I don't know. I just prefer not to be in a blind. I mean, there's moments where the blind, again, rain, it's nice to be dry. But I feel like I can hear and see and feel. I know that sounds a little silly, but you could feel it happening, better just silhouetting yourself with a big giant tree. It's different.
Excuse me. Yeah, oh my God,
Yeah,
to talk about that ground experience, and I just I want to have some of that myself. I want to have that thrill of being that close. But
yeah,
it's also about getting comfortable with it, and I think that there's a lot of spots that, and for those you don't know, we're mountain hunters, and we tend to hunt mountains more than like ag or anything like that, and we hunt in a low deer density area, and it's tough. It's really tough. So when
yeah.
you
Our
can
dad
find
always says it's like a needle in the haystack.
Yeah, so it's tough. So you really have to do your homework. And when you can start, like Dan is, killing them off the ground consistently, that's a freaking major feat. And I'm very envious of that.
Yeah,
And and I think I think that we're really honing in a lot of stuff, and we're getting really better. And I like the fact that we hunt differently, because of course it makes us have a little different perspectives, and we can learn from both of those
yeah.
things. So I think that's good, for
One
sure.
thing I do miss is the field of vision out of a tree. There, just what you could see. There's nothing like it. That up there, the bird's eye view, we'll call it. Man, I do miss that. There's times where it's like, man, I just wish maybe I should go get hypnotized or whatever to get rid of this fear. You know what I mean? Because dude, it's debilitating.
Yeah. Now,
And
you know how
I
it is
just
when you are up in a tree and you let an arrow go, and then you go, okay, I'm gonna get down and I'm gonna go check my arrow, see if I hit it, and all this stuff, and you get down and you're like, crap, nothing looks the same. Where was that? Is that over here?
yeah.
And you're trying to regain your perspective, and your oh, where is that spot? And then you have to look back at the tree and look up and go, oh, okay, I was there. This is the
Yeah.
angle, and trying to figure it out. Sometimes it can. That's why I try to really mark my spots, before I get out of the tree. It's because I've done it too many times. It's like a dummy. I have to get down
That
and
and
go,
illuminated knocks help that too because they stick
yeah,
up out of the ground because your arrow,
yeah,
But yeah, I definitely enjoy hunting now more than I ever have now that I hunt off the ground exclusively. It stoked a fire in me. Man, it burns like I can't stop thinking about different ambush spots. And do you see how I threw ambush in there? But you know what I mean. Man, it's like my head races all the time now. Where before, you know what my head was racing about? Climbing that tree and being scared. I
yeah.
don't have that anymore. It's like freedom. You know what I mean? I can truly hunt now. It's awesome. I love it. Blessed, man.
Yeah, and I've totally shifted, my mindset of about how to approach the whole thing, and I've been calling it to myself and on the blog, strategic hunting. And it's a fancy word for saying I'm just going to be flexible when I hunt, and I want to.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hunt a spot. We've done it for years. Done it for years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hunt a spot just to hunt that spot. Just because historically we had deer come through there one time, or so and so killed a buck here 3 years ago, or whatever. If I'm not seeing the sign, if it's not there, then I'm moving on. I'm not gonna waste
Yeah.
my time, and I'm gonna try to.
I'm
find,
guilty of it too.
Yeah, it's hard because it's kind of the way we were brought up, and that's
Well, there was always like pre-designated hunting spots, and oh, I'm going, I'm going to here, I'm going there, I'm going there. Like everybody has their spot that they go to, and
yeah.
I think those days are over now. Yeah,
They're over. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
I still find myself when I'm I'm sitting there and I'm like, where am I going to hunt today? Because I think about, okay, the weather conditions don't line up. It's windy or it's or whatever. The wind's coming from this direction. I don't know where. This is not a. This is definitely not a morning spot or whatever. You're saying
Yeah.
it just doesn't match up, and you're saying, what am I going to do now? Well, I now know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a scout to hunt or still hunting or whatever you want to call it, whatever label you want to put on it, and I'm going to follow that 80-20 rule of scouting 80% of the time and hunting 20% of the time and try to make myself more successful. And I'm going to screw up a lot, but at the same time, I think could be more successful too.
Yeah. I mean, with us, we're hunting in a valley. Sorry, I had to get off my microphone here, but you know, morning hunt, evening hunt, thermals are going up as the day goes, and as sun sets, they're going to come back down. So you got to place yourself at the right spot on that mountain, and of course where the deer are, not just but
And I, and I think you bring up a great point. And one of the things that it's even tougher about mountain hunting and in a low deer density area is you have those spots where the deer they're bulletproof. When you have different winds and the thermals combined, as well, those winds swirl all the time on that mountain, the whole way down
it changes.
26 miles of mountain. We hunt and it changes constantly. And you could say, oh, we're going to have a west wind today at 10 miles an hour.
No.
Next thing you know, it's blowing east from the east, and you're like, what the heck's going on? And it's because of the thermals and everything.
I mean, last year when I shot my buck, that whole day, the wind had been coming from the power line into my face. Right, like pretty much right before he come in, it shifted and it started coming down the mountain and pushing towards the water down there. And either way, I was good, but it was like it changes in that hollow or valley, I should say, not hollow, in that valley so much. It's especially when you get up closer to the top of the mountain, it really swirls. It's
And
crazy.
and I experimented with just hunting the wind and really neglecting my scent control, and I think that was a mistake. I think I think I need to make sure that I'm following good scent control protocol to make up for the when those winds do swirl and shift, because it can happen even when you think you have it nailed down and you say, oh, I know exactly what it's going to do, and then it changes on you and you can't do anything about it. So you gotta make those adjustments. There's so many. I mean, I had a couple of doe the one time that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna nail a doe here end of the season, knock one down since I still had a doe tag. It was after I got my buck, and I was like, oh, we got a doe, and as these doe were coming right at me on the trail that I had trail camera out, and they had come up and down that trail every day, same time. And as soon as they got like about 40 yards from me, they just kind of veered off and away, and I could feel the wind going, and I was like, there you go.
Done.
I was done, but it was so subtle. It was so subtle. They just kind of, I don't like that. I'm gonna go over here. So.
Yeah, I mean, the only way to get better is just take information from other people, other hunters. I mean, listen to them, and implant little things from this hunter, implant little things from that hunter, and just as long as you're always learning and you're open-minded, you're not, it's only going to make you a better hunter.
I think that's the one thing that anybody needs to take away from this podcast is we're not looking to say hunt exactly like we do. It's take the stuff that we talk about here on the podcast, each pod, and say, oh, I can apply that to me and where I'm at. Oh, but this other thing they said, that won't work for me at all. So you don't have to do everything. You just have to take the pieces and say, because like I said, we're learning every day too. We're going to make mistakes. Yeah. We're going to say, this is what I'm going to try. This is what I'm going to do. And we're going to come back and say, that didn't work at all. And other days we're going to come back and say, boom, that rocked. We freaking tore it up. And so it's it's always a work in progress. I think who I was listening to. I was listening to like Dan Infalt or somebody, and said, he did 80 sits or some stupid number. Maybe it was like 60 sits or something through a season, early season, late season, the whole gambit. I think he had a real rough year last year or something. He hit a couple and didn't recover them. And he was saying, you all those sits for that 5 second interval with a deer that you're hoping you can get them. So we hunt over and over again. If we were all perfect in our techniques, you'd be going out there opening day, nailing it, and saying, I'm going to be watching football, guys. You go hunting, Yeah. So,
I mean, for us, that 1 in a million, we'll call it, because, like you said, it's a low density area. The volume of deer just aren't there, but we hunt hard, man. And you get that one opportunity, and if you blow it, your next opportunity, we've already done 3-4 days and didn't even see a deer. And it can be that hard. And it's discouraging. It gets you down.
If you're a new hunter, you're going to be like, screw this.
After a while, you kind of you got to get it in your head. Hey, man, this is way better than being at work. That's what it comes down to. It's like,
and also you're also learning something, right? You're saying, well, I thought this was the spot, and it's not the spot. Or
it's humility, man.
Lines,
you're learning humility.
Yeah. Somewhere along the lines, I thought that I would, hook up with see a deer here at this particular time, and I was wrong. And now it's time to move on to the next spot. So
I personally think the greatest thing you could take away from hunting is the lessons that you learn, the things that it teaches you, where you get back to camp or your house or whatever, and you get back and you're sitting there and you're replaying things in your head, and you're like, oh, that's the lesson. I get it now, and it's only going to make you better as you go.
Absolutely. Well, I think we talked pretty good. 46 minutes here. You think we wrap this first one up, put it in the books, and kind of go out and let everybody know what they can expect moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. And, thanks everybody for listening. If there is anybody yet, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get done, and Dad will be like, I listened to the whole thing. And it was like one view of the podcast. Yes.
Oh, well, hey, one's better than nothing.
So this is just an introduction, and we appreciate every visitor, every viewer, subscriber that we can get. Please join us, because we got a lot to offer and a lot coming on, and we're focused on you, the everyday bow hunter, and bringing two different perspectives here, and probably in the future more perspectives than that, because we're going to have some people on here other than us, and we're going to get a range of perspectives and techniques, and hopefully you can get something out of it, and also learn from my military perspective and the way I'm approaching things, and Dan's ground and pound deal, which I'm still want to try but can't quite do, and not good at, but and hopefully roll into the season here, and help everybody be a little bit more successful this year. Was that stumbling over that? So
let's put a bow on it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks everybody.